I and my husband Jeff have been together for 7 years. We've recently got married about 10 months ago. With that, I also got a promotion at my job and I work longer hours. He has a friend, Sarah. I'm not close to her. I don't talk to her, but I will greet her and be civil if I have to. My husband knows her as they were in the same training for their job. They work in two different departments, though. So, to solve the problem, me and my husband had gotten off of work a bit earlier, so I decided to make a nice meal for both of us, as we haven't been able to have a lot of time together, so I wanted to have a nice romantic dinner in our dining room. Fast forward some hours after I finished cooking, I only made enough portions for me, him, and a bit for myself for my lunch tomorrow at work. So I let him know about my lunch I had in the fridge and that it isn't leftovers. Anyways, we're sitting down enjoying our meal and talking. That's when somebody walks in. Yeah, walks in. Obviously, I'm thinking somebody just snuck into our house or something, because I never gave anybody a key. All I knew is that my husband and myself have a key. To my surprise, Sarah came walking in as she greeted my husband. I had to greet her first, and she finally looked at me and greeted me. I looked at my husband and said, I didn't know we had company. He just shrugged it off and said, I decided to invite her over to hang out. I'm blindsided because I wanted this night to be just for us since we've been so busy. Sarah sits down and has the nerve to ask, where is my plate? I looked at her. I reminded her that I wasn't aware that she was coming over, so I didn't make enough, and I apologized. She started calling me rude and inconsiderate, but I kept letting her know that I wasn't aware, and I could Uber eat her something if she wanted, or fix her up a sandwich. She looked at my husband and asked why she didn't have a plate. I kid you not. My husband gets up, goes over to the fridge, takes my temporary lunch bowl out the fridge, and reheats it and gives it to her. I immediately tried to take it, but he moved it, and I said, that's my lunch for tomorrow. And he replied to me, you could make yourself something else. To be fair, I was pissed. He gave the plate to her, and she just started eating it and thanked him. Obviously, I'm mad at this point, and I was going on about how that was my lunch for tomorrow while he ignored him. Sarah kept calling me bitter and childish, saying it wasn't serious. I soon had enough and just stormed upstairs and never came back downstairs. My husband ended up coming upstairs very late at night, and just getting into bed without even giving me a kiss. I wake up easily, but I was still halfway asleep. I just want to know if I was being selfish and made a big deal out of him giving her the food. Am I the a hole edit? I'm getting comments saying I'm fake in AI. I do apologize for any mistakes here. I do typically mess up with my words when I type fast, and I apologize for that, but please stop being mean about it. I never posted on here, though. Our PPL usually mean this. Edit 2, I plan on talking to him tonight when he gets home. He's working later tonight, so I'm going to try to keep myself up, and I'm going to ask him if anything is going on with him and Sarah. Relevant comments. Original poster responds on the post being fake, being a doormat, and her husband possible having an emotional affair. I was pretty shocked when it happened, too. I think that's why I didn't react more in the moment. I've been reading comments and thinking about everything myself, especially the moment when he told me he had feelings for her, which was in the update, and I'm 99% sure it's an emotional affair. I know I seem like a doormat in both of my posts, which I was in the moment, but I've thought about it more, and I think divorce is the lane I'm going down. Commenter 1, you know that the issue is not about the food, but about your husband's. Blatant disrespect for you and that woman coming into your house to berate and name-call you. You are a better person than me. I would have decked her and dragged her out my house like a common thief. You need to rethink this marriage of a thing. Commenter 2, original poster is already a third wheel in her marriage and does not realize it? The woman walked in. Original poster, ask yourself how. You did not give her the key, so how did she gain entrance? If your husband gave her and did not inform you. Okay, on to point 2. She walks into your home, greets your husband, ignoring you intentionally and pointedly, and when you greet her, she makes a show of replying. Translation, why are you here interrupting my one time with my man? She proceeds to berate and insult you in your home when you did not invite her. Your husband, who invited her first, did not tell you about it, and then did not curb her being rude. He did not defend you at all. He proceeds to take your lunch and give it to her and basically tells you, suck it up. Translation, you are interrupting my romantic time with my girl and bitch. You better shut the hell up and tolerate whatever we dish out to you. He is already being cold to you. Commenter 3, I would have snatched the bowl away from both of them and told hubby that if he wants his friend to eat, he can cook her something, because this is my food for work and I'm not letting her or anybody else eat it, especially after I already told both of them no. Not my problem. He didn't bother telling me beforehand that he was bringing somebody over or asked for my consent to have the guest over. I'm not obligated to share my food that I prepared for myself and my own meal that was just enough for two people to eat with a third one for my work lunch. If H wants to feed her, he can give her his plate and he can go hungry instead of giving away food. I said she couldn't have because I made it for myself to eat and don't want to fix something else for lunch. So somebody I didn't invite or know was even coming can eat update next day. This isn't going to be a long update at all. I talked to my husband after he got home today, and long story short, they have feelings for one another. He denied cheating, but I feel like there was at least emotional cheating. I don't know what to do as I've been with him since I was 16 and he was my first everything. I can't even imagine a life without him. I'm currently at my mom's house. I came over here after all the chaos. He's been blowing up my phone with text and calls. First, he was apologetic, so it was, she means nothing, and now I'm an insecure woman, he claims. He tells me he still loves me, but if I'm with you, then I want to be the only one you love. Lots of you also pointed out that he was disrespectful, which he was, and I can't stand for that either. I checked the Ring camera, and her car is currently in our driveway. Anyways, I feel like complete hell. He and I mostly have mutual friends, since I didn't have many friends in high school, just college, which is where I met him. We were in the same friend group. I've been crying, and I'll admit, embarrassingly, I've thrown up about twice. My mom has been super supportive, and tonight she's letting me forget with ice cream and rewatching Love Island. But she said it'll be temporary as me and her need to have discussions on what will be with me and my husband going forward. That's it, though. Thanks for all the advice I got, and completely things get better. Again, I'm sorry if any of this is hard to understand, as my hands are very shaky. Sorry, and please refrain from any hate comments. Relevant comments a commentary. Does the mutual friends know about what was going on with the husband and Sarah? Original poster replied, been offline for some hours, but I'm back on. I do plan on letting mutual friends know, but some of them are closer to him and already knows Sarah, meaning they probably knew about their feelings. Somebody said, original poster needs to get her finances together before getting divorced. Original poster replied, I have money aside. My grandfather made me a bank account when I was a kid. It's in my name now. They put money in it each month. They still do, so that's a ton of help. Commenter 1. He's texting telling you that you are insecure while you can see her car in your driveway? Hell no. Original poster replied, he was texting me for about an hour straight. When she did show up in the driveway, he wasn't texting anymore. Commenter 2. Bro, I'm furious for you. Why are you calm about this? Put some respect on your name and stand your ground. He screwed up. They both disrespected you. And you're allowing him to still make excuses and push the blame on you. Leave him. Original poster replied, I promise I'm not calm about it. That's how I got the truth out. During the talk, it turned into an argument and I confronted him about everything. I kept asking him if anything was going on repeatedly, and that's when he admitted to having feelings for her. Original poster had been with her husband since she was 16 and met in college. Original poster replied, sorry, should have made it more specific in the story. My birthday is in January, so I was turning 17 in some months, but in the beginning of college, when I met him, I was 16. I went to college earlier on because my mother put me in school early, and I had enough credits to graduate in junior year. Update 4 days later. Before I start on the update, I want to explain some things I saw in the comments. A lot of people were confused by me saying I got with him at 16, and I do apologize for not talking about that more because I forgot. That might be confusing for some people. I started attending kindergarten at 4 in September. I turned 5 that January. In 8th grade, I was put in some honor classes, which was high school credited. I went to high school, did summer classes, plus some credit from 8th grade and ended up graduating early at 16. I started college after that summer break, and that's when I met my husband. Hope that explains the timeline more. Secondly, a lot of people were saying I was too calm about it. I want to also apologize for not adding much dialogue of what was discussed during the situation. And I thought that me saying I kept trying to take the plate and I was angry was enough for some people to get the picture. I didn't want to add too much dialogue because I felt it would just make the whole post too long, as I assumed that people wouldn't have the attention span to read that, but I was most definitely angry. The reason I offered her Uber Eats or to make a quick sandwich is because, yes, I wasn't aware she was coming. But my husband did invite her and she was a guest, so I didn't just want to be rude. Lastly, people with the grammar, AI, and spelling comments coming at me. I don't know if the AI thing is a compliment or an insult, as AI is smart, and the insult is that AI doesn't always add up. I don't know, this is my that Reddit post. Next, the grammar and spelling. My husband just told me that he has feelings for one of his friends and prioritized her over me. The last thing I'm worried about is grammar and spelling, but thanks for being so concerned about it, word girl. On to the update. This whole thing has been going so fast. I mean, how could this all happen in literally 6 days? So that night of the whole blowing up phone and Sarah's car being in the driveway, I stayed at my mom's house. And I'm super grateful for her because she was an amazing support. Jeff didn't text me again that night, but Sarah's car did leave later that night. I've been trying to convince myself that he was just upset about me leaving and she was there to make him feel better, but obviously that's not what it is. The next day, Jeff's number had called me and I picked up, but it was Sarah who was on the other line. She kept telling me how I was overreacting and trying to reassure me that Jeff was a good man. She said it was selfish how I would let her starve just to keep a lunch for the next day, and Jeff was just being kind. I told her about how Jeff told me that they had feelings and she confirmed it like it was nothing. She only said something along the lines of, "Why wouldn't I? He's a good man." She then told me if I was really going to let that situation ruin our marriage, I wish this was fake because why the hell are you so desperate for a married man? I ended up just asking her why she had Jeff's phone and she told me that was she there to comfort him. She had came back the next day after I saw her car on the Ring camera. I just ended up hanging up on her. I'll be honest, this is where I may be a big dummy. I ended up staying at my mom's house an extra day. I just needed one more day before I had to confront everything. Not once did Jeff check on me, and it really did hurt because how could he just change? Like we didn't spend 7 years together. The next day on Monday, I did go over there. I left my mom's house around 9 a.m. and went back home, and that's when, to my surprise, I caught them. Also, P.S., I didn't see her car in the driveway, so I didn't think she was still there, but when I found them, they were asleep in our bed, halfway naked. In our bed, literally under where our wedding photo hung up, and admittedly, that was my breaking point. I raged, and I ended up screaming, which woke up both of them, and Sarah wasn't even on crap. She acts all big and bad during other moments, but this time she just hurried and left like a puss. I turned to my husband, and what hurt the most is that he didn't seem to care. He didn't try to even defend himself, just stood there staring at me. I started yelling at him. I yelled that I was going to leave him and that I was packing my stuff, but he did literally nothing. That's when he turned around and got something off the counter, and he gave it to me. He had the nerve to serve me divorce papers, so obviously he's been thinking about doing this, but I don't get why. Like, was this whole lunch thing, him calling her over after I left and then finding them in the bed together, just a sick joke to get a laugh out? They've been friends for 3 years, as that's how long it's been since his training. I don't know for sure how long the affair was, but if I had to guess, I would say some years. I just stared at him for a moment because, not gonna lie, I was gagged. He then just told me one thing. Pack your crap and leave then. I stood there for a moment, just staring at the divorce papers. Soon I regained my composure and I signed them. So we're getting a divorce, a bit bummed I didn't get the chance to initiate it, but at least I don't have to worry about it anymore. I had questions to ask him, but honestly after that it was just silence until I left again. I wanted to ask how long he had the divorce papers and why was he even prepared with divorce papers. I wanted to ask why play in my face and do all that just to divorce me. Is this like a taboo situation where him and Sarah thought it was so fun and sneaky to plan this behind my back or something? I'm not worried about the divorce. Luckily, we have no kids, we don't have a joint bank account, so I'm good on money as I have my job, and my grandparents add $200 every month. Not that I can move into a new place immediately, but I have money. For the meantime, I'm just going to go to my grandparents' house as it's pretty big, and they could use the help anyways. I'm definitely still sad, but also very angry about the whole situation because it was just so stupid. Like, genuinely, how can villains like this exist? What did they even gain out of doing all that? I do want to thank you, everybody who messaged me kind things and also commented kind things. It's super appreciated, and it's definitely something that's making me feel better. This situation didn't turn out the way I'd thought it would, but at least me and him will be getting a divorce. This update was pretty hard to write as I'm just experiencing yesterday all over again in my head, and the whole thing just pisses me off. I would say that I'll update if there's more, but hopefully there's not, as I want this chapter to be closed. I know I seemed like such a doormat in my other posts, but I think seeing them in my bed, him with no reaction, and being served divorce papers was obviously what I needed to really not want this relationship to work out. I know I say this every single post, but again, please refrain on hating. I really can't handle it right now. So that'd be appreciated. Edit, lots of people are talking about how I was dumb to sign the divorce papers without reading. And I agree with you. I regret it now, but in the moment, I was heated and I acted out of emotions. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I hope you get the house. For your own sake, I hope it's a quick process, but if you wanted to drag it out and make it hell for him, I support that. Tell everyone he's a cheater, and I hope he loses everything. Original poster replied, the house isn't mine. It's in his name passed down from his grandparents. I mentioned it in the original comment section, but I forgot to mention that here, so I apologize. Someone said, how did your husband got the divorce papers in a short time? Original poster replied, I don't know. I didn't know he had them. I think he got them prior. I literally said in the story I never got closure on why he did it, and what was the point of him dragging me along, commenter. Please make sure you tell everyone exactly how disgusting they both are. They may try to spin a narrative here that paints you as the villain. Don't let them. Original poster replied, half of my family, immediate family on mom's side, already knows except my dad. My mom gossips a lot, but they're on my side. I haven't spoke to his family, though, and the only friend that knows is my best friend. Somebody said, why didn't you take any pics to have as evidence? Original poster replied, I have photos of the car in the driveway. I don't have any photos of them in bed together, and I already explained why I signed the divorce papers without reading or going to a lawyer commenter. Why don't you let their HR know? At the end of the day, they will not last. And most people say that walking away is the best way, but I would 1, get a lawyer, and 2, let their HR know. Falling out of love happens. Divorces are lots of times inevitable, but what your husband did is exceptionally cruel. You do not deserve that. Edit to add, you are not dumb. You were under incredible emotional distress dealing with a hostile person when you signed those papers. Get a lawyer and be kind to yourself. Your future will be amazing, but for now, just take one day at a time.